giant came down out of the frozen north and turned the land of Canada from summer into winter. Everything got covered with white powdery snow. The trees turned into giant frosted snow confections. Icicles hung from everything, and it was so cold. The people all said to their hero, Glooscap, they said, "Glooscap, go and talk to this winter giant and tell him that we must have summer again. He must leave."
So Glooscap, the mighty hero, he walked into the house of the winter giant. The winter giant lived in a house made all of ice. The walls were made of white ice and the windows were clear, drippy ice. Glooscap walked in and he said, "Winter giant, you must go back to the frozen north and let the land of Canada be warm and sunny again."
The winter giant, he cast a spell on Glooscap that put him to sleep. He did like this. Ah, ah, oh. You guys are going to do that with me. Everybody get your hands up to the side. Ah, ah, oh. And when he finished the spell, Glooscap fell.
When he woke up, he forgot all about the winter giant. He said, "That was a good sleep." He walked out of the ice house, and he was just about to walk away thinking, "I did a good job, whatever it was I did," when his friend Tattler the loon called to him. A loon is a kind of a big bird.
The bird said, "Glooscap." Can you guys say Glooscap like the bird would say it? "Glooscap, you have been a fool." "A fool? Why have I been a fool?" "The winter giant cast his spell on you." "That's right. I will go back into that ice house and I'll get rid of that winter giant right now." So Glooscap turned right around and he walked back into the ice house and he said, "Winter giant, you must leave the land of Canada and go back to the frozen north so that it can be summer here again." And the winter giant just smiled.
And what did he do? That's right. Ah, ah, oh. And Glooscap went, "Hey, oh, And when he woke up, when he woke up, he had forgotten all. It didn't scare him, it just put him to sleep. So, although he did bonk his head on the ice wall behind him. And he walked out of the ice house saying, "I feel good, except that I seem to have bonked my head on something. I don't know what." "Glooscap, what? You," he went to say it with him, "you have been a fool."
"Why have I been a fool?" And of course the bird said again, "The winter giant cast his spell on you." And Glooscap knew there was no use going back and trying a third time. Instead, he decided that he must travel to the lands of the sunny south and see if he could find the Summer Queen. For the Summer Queen has magic powerful enough to get rid of a winter giant. If only he could get her to come back to the land of Canada. So he went to the shores of the ocean. He said, "I could just walk to the south, but it will take too long. I will ride my friend Blob the whale."
Blob?
That's the whale's name in the story, Blob the whale. So he called for the whale, and the whale came up, and Glooscap said, Will you let me ride on you to the lands of the sunny south?" The whale said, "Yes, I will, but you must promise to keep your eyes closed while you ride me."
Closed?
Closed. If you open your eyes, will get stuck in the mud.
So Glooscap promised he would keep his eyes closed. And he did. He got on the back of the whale and he closed his eyes, and he felt the wind go through his hair. Whoosh, whoosh. But he didn't open his eyes, see? He felt the ocean spray splash him in the face. Splash, splash. But he didn't open his eyes. He heard the winds howl. And he heard the whale spout. But he didn't open his eyes. But then he felt the weather starting to get warmer, and he said, now we're in the lands of the sunny south. I want the whale to get stuck so that I can get off. So he opened his eyes, and as soon as he did, the whale ran into a big mud bank and was stuck.
Glooscap got off, but the whale called after him, Glooscap, is this fair? I gave you a ride all the way to the lands of the sunny south. Is this how you repay me? You leave me stuck in the mud? Glooscap said, he's right. I'll get him off the mud. So Glooscap took his strong right hand and he put it against the whale's flat forehead, and he pushed with all his might until he pushed the whale off of the mud again, and the whale swam away. Now Glooscap walked through a land covered with flowers of every color until he came to a grove of trees where a rainbow touched down, and there was a maiden dancing there. She had flowers in her hair, and her feet were bare, and her eyes had the colors of the rainbow. She was the Summer Queen.
When she finished her dance, Glooscap went down on one knee before her and said, my lady, will you come back with me to the lands of the frozen north? There is a terrible winter giant who has cast a spell on all our land. The Summer Queen smiled and nodded and said, yes, but I can only stay for part of the year. I cannot stay all the time. Well, Glooscap and the Summer Queen returned to the land of Canada, and they walked together into the ice house of the Winter Giant. The Winter Giant said, and started his spell. Ah, ah, oh. And Glooscap said, well, this time I'm not.
Glooscap was asleep, but the Summer Queen, she just sat there smiling. So the Winter Giant decided he would try his spell again, louder this time. Can I do it loud? Ah, ah, oh. But the Summer Queen just said, mm-hmm. So the Winter Giant said, well, this time I'll do it in a quiet, sleepy sort of way. But do you think it worked on the Summer Queen? No. She just said, Winter Giant, your spell does not work on me. And now you must leave the land to the summer.
The Winter Giant began to cry ice tears. He said that if I leave, it will always be hot. People will get tired of it being hot. They will miss the beautiful white snow. They will miss the rain making the rivers full again. They will miss the ice and they will miss being cold and getting to dress warmly. So the Summer Queen said, "My friend, do not worry. I can only stay here for half of the year. So for half of the year, I will be here and it will be summer. And for the other half of the year, I will be in the south and you will be king. And it will be as cold and as wintry as you want. And the winds will howl just like they're howling outside our real window right now." And so that's the way it has been ever since. Summer for half the year and winter for half the year. And that's the story of the Winter Giant. Thanks.